Hi, this is Grant, one half of the Herdsman, coming to you today to talk about one of my favorite things, anime. Specifically, Full Metal Alchemist from 2003. There are two versions of this show. I'm going to get into both of them, but for now, I'm going to go into the one that's a good gateway anime. If you watch the other one, you might be a little pissed off because this one deviates heavily later in the series from the source material it's based off of. The other one keeps it more closely because, well, it was done closer to the end of the series that it's based off of. With that being said, let's give a brief summary on this show. This is a great show, and it's about these two brothers named Edward and Alphonse Elric. And they live in this mythical country called Amestris, where alchemy is possible. Alchemy is a thing concerned with transforming something from one thing to another, like lead into gold. And they're concerned with getting this thing called the Philosopher's Stone because when they were about 11 and 10, they tried to bring their mother back from the dead, and it went horribly wrong. Edward lost his right arm and his left leg, and Alphonse lost his entire body, but fortunately his soul was able to be bonded to a suit of armor. And that's one of the greatest things of this show because it provides a lot of the comedy. I mean, Edward is this world-renowned alchemist. He kind of has the reputation that Doogie Howser had as being a doctor. For those of you who get that reference, you know what I'm talking about. He's just world-renowned, but nobody knows that he is a kid who has this phenomenal ability. I mean, he outranks, power-wise at least, most of the adults he's around, but literally no one knows what he looks like. So they always mistake his younger brother, who looks about 8 feet, I'd say 7, 8 feet tall. They always mistake him as the title Full Metal Alchemist because, well, he's actually metal. It provides a lot of the comedy because he's always waiting for someone to call him short so he can beat him up. So, this is a great show. I love it. I love the villains in this. And I love the themes that they cover. Because this is a show that is meant to be able to be understood by people around the age of the characters. So you're able to pick up on what the show is talking about at about 11 or 12. But it deals with themes that you wouldn't expect in a kid's show. I mean, it deals with religion, with politics, with science. Very heavy themes about trusting too much in religion or trusting too much in science. The idea that you need to question things because horrible crap can go down if you do not question things, both from a religious end and from a scientific end. And that's something that isn't discussed enough in our society, and it's great that a kid's show can deal with it intelligently and simply. So this show, it starts off in episode 1 in this town called Lior. It's on the outskirts of, the desert. It looks like it's in the middle of something like the Sahara, but they never exactly explain its relation to the main country. And these two brothers are looking for this stone, and they hear about this person who's purporting themselves as an instrument of God. And after watching this show 3 times now in preparation for this review, I gotta say, this is a weak episode. And I mean, I really like this series, but this is one of those episodes that it was meant to be seen as a 2-parter, and you can get that even if you've never watched this show before. Just by the pacing, you can get that it was meant to be a 2-parter because it feels slower. And that really works as a detriment to the episode if you're just trying to get an idea of whether you want to watch all 51 episodes and the movie conclusion, because you're thinking, I mean, this is what everybody keeps talking about. But if you watch like the first 3 episodes, I think you'll get a pretty good idea if you're gonna like it. It's a really good show. The villain in this 2-parter, which I'll get more into detail on the second episode later, but the villain is kind of weak. But then again, he's kind of meant to be weak. He's meant to be that character that you think is going to be the main bad guy of the series, but he's apparently just a crony for the even worse villain. Sort of like Darth Vader in New Hope, and then you find out, holy crap, the Emperor is so much worse than this guy. My favorite thing, and they keep this throughout the entire series, is that Edward, he constantly thinks that people are talking down to him about his height. And I just find that hilarious. I don't know honestly, I don't know if I've already mentioned it in this video. I can't get all of this humor out. It is friggin' hilarious. Other than that, it's kind of just a weak episode. I mean, I'm sorry, but I will recommend this show and the other show until Kingdom Come, but this is a very weak episode. So, if you're thinking about this series, if you've heard people talk about this series, I really recommend it. I really do, but you need to get past this first episode. It's not dull. This will keep you engaged, but it's kind of a weak episode, as I've said ad nauseum in this. But if you push through it, it's a lot like... it's just one of those experiences. It's like a lot of experiences in life. Sometimes it's kind of boring at the beginning. Sometimes it's okay, but not necessarily great. But the payoff is great. This is just a great episode. I really recommend it. And I will get back to you later.